Good morning. Welcome to Sports Chat segment. Remember last week we said we keep it sports, and I'm glad that you are here with us on KTN News just to talk about sports. And what a week it will be, because the Kenya Open is coming just next week on March 12th through to March 15th at the Karen Golf Club. But of course, again, this Mashemeji Derby. AFC Leopards will be taking on Gor Mahia at Kasarani this coming Sunday. That and many other stories, we'll come back to that. But first of all, I want to introduce to you a new person. I don't know if you've seen him on KTN News, but we have Mohammed Awal. He's one of those young, talented journalists at the Standard Group Media Academy. And here it is Mohammed Awal. Karibu sana. Yeah, remember KTN, we develop talent, and at the end of the day, they will serve you really well. And I believe, Mohammed Awal, this will be a great journey for you.
Definitely, it will be a great journey. KTN has trained as well, and we are looking forward to upscaling the level of journalism at our studios and at KTN.
Great. Then we have Milton Nyakundi, assistant journalist, and it must be a pleasure to be sitting next to a young guy coming into the profession.
Always a pleasure, Robin, because it gives us the opportunity to also, actually mentor some of them, and I'm happy that Awal is joining this great profession. So karibu sana to the profession, and if there is one or two things that you can learn from us and those who are before you, I think it will be a pleasure to support you as much as possible, because 15 years down the line, Toskin, I think it is always a reminder that our sunset days are not very far away. Although once a journalist, always one.
Always one. And at that note, we want to bring you the news, because preparations for the Kenya Open Golf Championship to be staged at the Karen Country Club from March 12 to 15 are almost complete. The Standard Group will this morning launch its broadcast partnership with the Kenya Open Golf Limited at the venue, that is Karen Golf Club. The Golf Championship, which gained the European tour status last year, has grown in leaps and bounds since its inception in 1967. This year's event is expected to throw up more fireworks and riveting entertainment. I know, Milton, you were there last year. First time Kenya Open gained the European tour status. It is a big deal for us as a country, and maybe for the region.
By all means, I think it was a good event, magnificently put together by the Kenya KOGL. And granted that really those fellows have really worked hard, I think, for the last 50-something years.
52 to be precise, yeah.
I think it is a good event. I hope that it will be better, because the modification to the current golf course, as we know it, was one amazing thing, because of how the TV cameras for the European tour are supposed to be set up, because I know there were adjustments to several holes.
Yes.
So the numbering of the holes is not as we know them. And I'm looking for, I haven't been to Karen so far before the event, but hope we can be able to see another big event. My frustration is that we are living again another of the frustrating sports promises by the Jubilee administration. The president did talk about having a public golf course at Kasarani. The land is there. I don't think an inch has been broken in that respect. And I think we must ask certain questions of the leadership under Uhuru Kenyatta. And
I'll be waiting to hear the speech at the end of the tournament about the need to bring in the public to play.
I don't see a difference. Obviously, we are going to see another similar speech. I think, having covered sports for the last 15 years, I've seen so many broken promises in those speeches. In fact, I remember it was under Kibaki administration sometime in 2010 when I think it was athletics, the team was being received at State House by then President Kibaki. And I had a specific question that I thought I needed to ask the president. And then head of presidential press, Mr. Isaiah Kabira, told me, never mind, the president will address your question in the speech. I mean, and So, I mean, we've heard these stories so many times.
But the good thing is that the Standard Group, via its flagship platform, the KTN News, will be bringing you some of that live action come next week. And today there will be a broadcast partnership ceremony that will be launched. Awal Golf, he said that the public is yet, the common man is yet to embrace golf. I don't know if you've played golf.
Not yet. I've not played, but I've reported severally about golf, and I've learnt about golf, and it's a good sport. And it's upon us, the journalists, now to increase their awareness, to bring the local mwananchi, to tell them that golf is not about the rich people, even the young people, even the common folks can join in and play golf. So it's a good sport. And going into Kenya Magic Open is that we had the safari tours where the best had to qualify through the safari tours, and
especially the local players.
And I think we are going into a very competitive match. We are hoping that in this Kenya Magic, our stars here, local stars, will actually shine, better than last year. So we are hoping for the best.
Yeah, we had Simon Gige actually capturing the imagination of Kenyans on the last day. That was last year. It was, I think, March 17th, and there was that hug with the president. Just hope that some of those fireworks will be replicated this time round. But now let's move on to football, where Kenyan football is bigger than individuals. This was a powerful statement issued at the end of a football stakeholders meeting held in Nairobi on Saturday. Speaker after speaker lamented how the beautiful game has been embroiled in politics. The governing body, FKF, came under criticism for not organizing free and fair elections, instead threatening the country over FIFA ban. Speaker after speaker also noted that football is a big industry and called for urgent measures to turn around Kenya's football fortunes. This is part of the proceedings over the weekend.
Sisi hatujachelewesha election. Na in fact kwamba makosa ambayo yalipatikana na SDT, mahakama ya mpira hapa Kenya, ni makosa ya yeye mwenyewe rais wa shirikisho la kandanda, ambayo ameweza kuweka hizo code ambazo sio sawa, ameweza kuweka ile body ya election sio sawa, na mahakama ikapata kwamba yeye alifanya makosa ya kuweka ile body, ndio ikafutilia mbali ule uchaguzi. Kwa hivyo sisi hatujavunja sheria yoyote ya FIFA wala ya FKF. Kitu tunaomba, tunataka kiwanja ikuwe sawa, watu waweze kuparticipate, yule ambaye atashinda Wakenya wote wamunge mkono.
In the Vision 2030 blueprint, you realize that the government identified sports as a social pillar. But what is emerging now, it is beyond being a social pillar. It's becoming an economic pillar. For those of us who are familiar with football, for instance, in the developed world, it is actually an industry. These are careers. People go to school, they learn about soccer, or they learn about football, about chess, about whatever it is, and they actually make a career out of it. At a time when you have got unemployment levels are high in Kenya, at a time whereby we know that you have got funding restrictions, I think this is an issue or an area that we may need to think about so that we can be able to see whether we can harness the talent that we have for purposes of creating employment and improving the welfare, the well-being of the Kenyans.
Football is not something where football is you people. You are the people who make the passion, the field ijae watu. Nyinyi mnavaa hizo t-shirt, you are talking about here, Bob, that you can print your t-shirts. You can then print your t-shirts for your own county. Imagine you go in Nairobi and you see everybody in Nairobi walking with a Nairobi County Football Club jersey. You know, feeling good because the Nairobi County is playing Kirinyaga County, Onyeri County, and the kids are wearing those jerseys and caps and everybody's generating income. That's how you generate income.
Revenue collapsed and the costs of the clubs increased significantly. What actually did happen was in 2017, you recall, the Sports Dispute Tribunal and FKF forced an expansion of the league. We had a chart, 16-team league versus 18-team league. Advantages. 26 advantages of a 16-team league. We left the other ones blank. We asked FKF, fill in the blanks. The Sports Tribunal, fill in the blanks. To this day, they've never, ever provided a list. So on what basis was that decision made if you can't even think of a single advantage other than a political advantage?
Kenya's going to recover from where it is today in terms of football. It must. There's so much interest. But one thing that Bob Munro did not mention, he mentioned government and sponsors, he did not mention the fans. We need to encourage the fans to come to the games. Then the sponsors will come because you'll see all the stadiums full. You do see that with Gormaya, I must say. In fact, I'm amazed when I went to Machakos once to see on that 3-lane road turned into a 8-lane road because the Gormaya fans occupied them all. I mean, really enthusiastic. I'm not encouraging them to break the law, by the way, but the enthusiasm is there. Why can't we do that right across the league, right across football?
Well, interesting observations from the stakeholders who converged in Nairobi to talk about the Kenyan game, and all of them decried the fact that the fortunes of Kenyan football has really gone down. And I want to pick from where one of those lawyers, Stanley Manduku, talked about that the Vision 2030 that was put in place by the government envisaged sport as a social, thing. But in truth, it's a big industry, Awal.
Yeah, it's a big industry, and it is very unfortunate to see that sports now, football in particular, has been reduced to 2 individuals. We cannot reduce the big sports. We cannot reduce the social thing that Vision 2030 envisioned to be a social event or a social amenity to only 2 individuals. The beautiful game is played on the pitch, not in the boardrooms. And unless we stop the wrangles in the boardrooms and bring the balls into the pitch, then unfortunately we are killing the beautiful game.
Because Tua Mbarak there, the opening statement, he said, look, there's an impasse within the FKF to organize elections, and the push and pull. Everyone's saying they're blaming each other for the delay of those elections. I don't know, Milton, what did you make of Tua Mbarak's submission?
Well, I think it is well within right for Tua Mbarak and others to make such claims, because I think we find ourselves in a situation where now there's this fear, there's this talk that should there be intervention, should the stalemate continue, that Kenya is likely to suffer sanctions. My take is, and this has been my take consistently, and it was one of my strongest submissions before the Sports Disputes Tribunal, where I'm saying it is the current leadership whose term ended on 10th of February, that should be held accountable. And we need to make this very clear. It is within the law itself, and I have argued this before the tribunal and said the cabinet secretary now needs to work with FIFA to invoke specific provisions of the statute, that is the Sports Act and the FIFA statutes, which is a domesticated legal provision under Article 2 of the Kenyan Constitution, so that then we can have sanity. Sanity restored in the sense that let us have a body that can have proper constitutional grounding to be able to hold elections. Mm-hmm. And we have said that time has come for individuals to be held accountable for their inaction or actions. Mm-hmm. And Nick Mwendo's leadership stands indicted for their failure to hold elections within their term. And I know they have tried to suggest that the case of South Africa in the 2018 elections, SAFA incident, where then elections that were scheduled to be held in September were held in March. Several reasons were advanced, but the force majeure situation that arose in the case of South Africa is that the Independent Electoral Committee all of them stood down a week before elections. Therefore, they had to postpone the elections. FIFA had to intervene, and our good friend Cheyangwa from Zimbabwe was sent to put together to calm the situation there. But it was well within the term. This election was supposed to be held in September. They brought it back to March. And therefore, the situation with Kenya is that now the cabinet secretary has the legal instruments to be able to intervene by virtue of Article 55 of the Sports Act. FIFA can intervene invoking the FIFA statute, which is part of the law. So I think the CS needs to invite FIFA to work together to ensure that we have a transitional arrangement and framework within which the elections can be held.
Sports Dispute Tribunal, whatever they will rule. But then, Awal, you cannot downplay the fact that FIFA can ban FKF. And if it bans FKF, it affects Kenyans. And one of the speakers was saying that football is not about two people. It's about football being played at the grassroots level.
Yeah, we cannot avoid the fact that FIFA can go ahead and ban FKF. And if they ban FKF, definitely, it's not only the two individuals who will suffer, but thousands of Kenyans who play this beautiful game. Thousands of Kenyans who depend on this beautiful game. The hawkers who always go to the stadium to sell to the fans that go, they will be affected because there will be no matches played. So unless we remove football from these two individuals and we bring it to the masses, then our football is going to suffer. And that is the same thing that Twaha Mbarak is saying, that we must remove football from individuals and bring it to the common wananchi who are playing this beautiful game.
Bob Mundro made a very interesting observation there, saying that the revenue of the Kenyan Premier League has dwindled. And he points out that expanding the league to 18 teams dealt a blow to the local league. How true is that?
Well, I do not think that expansion is the devil or the elephant in the room here. I think we have become too political in how we view our football because of the prevailing circumstances.
But then two clubs more
let me make,
would increase the financial
I want to make my point. Too political in this sense, that the people who are charged with the responsibility to market the product that is football, the product that is the Kenyan Premier League, have failed in how what we need now is creative or innovation in terms of how we market the game, because the fan will not just come to watch a dead rubber at Nyayo Stadium. I mean, let us face it, it is not sources of revenue are only one or two in terms of football, from the fans, from merchandising, and from TV rights. Let us not be, be convoluted about that fact. So I think, yes, the politics has affected how innovative, how creative the people charged with marketing the product can be. And therefore you have apathy, general apathy by both the fans and the masses like Awal is talking about, and the corporates who are now the partners that would come in, who would add value and give that value is given monetary value, and that is how you make your money. So for me, the problem is that apathy by both the corporates and by extension the government, that doesn't seem to really have its grip as firmly as it should in terms of providing the right policy and statutory framework within which then the sport can thrive. The fan thinks Kenyan football is not entertaining anymore, and everybody therefore thinks, even the Mashemeji Derby that I know you want us to talk about.
It's actually coming up on Sunday. Make sure you don't miss that.
It is no longer, as captivating as it was because of that apathy that we are talking about. There is no longer confidence in the game. And we must then tell ourselves the truth. And we must realize that we are actually in a hole for us to stop digging, because what is happening is we continue to dig when we are in a hole. The first step out of a hole is to stop digging.
One of the speakers, quickly, Wal, I think that was Dr. Michael Hopkins, he said that you have to create the passion, and he was impressed by the way Gor Mahia fans, will take over a place they go to watch their game. That we have to put the fun at the center of all this. Are we doing enough in Kenya to put the fans around, at the center of Kenyan football?
I cannot say that we are not doing enough. Local clubs like Wazito, Bandari, they have come up with mechanisms to at least include their fan base. But we need to have more people who will come in and include the fans. We need to make sports, we need to make fun to make our fans to love the sports,
yes,
to ensure that we have the security. You see, I cannot take my family or, for example, my friends to a derby where I know definitely there will be rogues. After the match, there will be traffic jam. So definitely we need to have the security. It's not only the fans only, but we need to have the government in, the machineries in, the corporates in, and FKF in, so that the fans...
And that can only be achieved if we don't have politics. He mentioned about Mashemeji Derby, and actually it's upon us. The clash will take place at Kasarani Stadium this Sunday. Gor Mahia, who have dominated this fixture, are atop the Kenyan Premier League table with 51 points, 11 clear of FC Leopards, who are placed 5th. Unbelievable as it sounds, FC Leopards have not beaten Gor Mahia since March 6, 2016. Question is, do we expect a different result come Sunday, Awal?
For me, I'll vote for AFC Leopards to win this match, because looking at the series of matches that Gor Mahia has played, they went to Zoo Kericho and they won 3-2. Again, yesterday they beat Western Timor 3-2. It shows that Gor Mahia has a leaky defense. It can be attributed to the fact that Joash Onyango was red carded for those two matches, but the fact remains that the defense of Gor Mahia is leaky, and I'm putting my bets on AFC Leopards. At least go ahead, win, man.
I remember history also plays a part. What should we expect, Milton?
For good banter, I would want to see AFC win the match, and I think that is what every other sympathizer, especially the neutrals, want to see, because of how Gor have dominated this game. And who knows, it could happen. We saw it happen last night, Real Madrid winning the Clásico for the first time, I think, in after 7 attempts. So, yeah, I would be... In this case, I'm actually a neutral because my club is Shabana, so I would want AFC Leopards to get the points and make the league competitive. Gor have dominated, and it looks like they have no competition locally, so that needs to be stopped.
7 points clear of the second place team.
That is what I'm saying, and I think the leadership of Dan Shikanda, I hope it can inject that kind of, you know, the passion that the players need to come. It's Mashemeji Derby. Let's do it. I've seen it in Shikanda himself. I hope it can be infused or passed on to the playing unit come on Sunday.
FC Leopards are coming off a 1-0 win over Chemelil Sugar, and they have been on a fine run of results, and just expect that maybe they'll turn around things, because the last time they won was 6th March 2016. That's a long time when it comes to derby matches. Now, so make sure that you book your date, make sure that you're at Kasarani on Sunday. The derby promises, you know, fireworks. FC Leopards versus Gor Mahia. And of course, next week we'll have Kenya Open tournament. It will be played at Karen Golf Club. Last year, it was a massive game. Make sure you also prepare for that week. I've been speaking to Milton Nyakundi, a seasoned journalist, and our own young man, talent galore, Mohamed Awal. We just wish you well. Keep it up.
Thank you.
And make sports great in this country again. Now, it's time to hand over to Michael Gitonga and Trix Ingado for the rest of the session.
Yes, thank you very much, Toskin. And maybe just a quick question to Trix. What sport are you, hoping to engage in soon?
Why are you always putting me in this position?
Because, we do sports chat here, and it's always a challenge.
Ugali eating, contests, chicken demolishing competition.
And that one, of course, there is no competition.
Yeah,
even Toskin cannot win you on that one. So, okay, today you get away with that.
Right.
Well, it's that time of the day where we need to wind up the show, and thank you so very much for watching Morning Express. It's always a pleasure hosting you. My name is Michael Gitonga. Do have a good day.
And I'm Trix Ingado. Have a